No. Bob, I don't have any. I can't hear anything in my headphones. Can you hear me?
Oops, sorry, I thought I switched this. There we go.
El negro está rabioso y quiere pelear conmigo y díselo a mi papá. Sí, bienvenido al Next Step Show. Sí, ahí con un poquito de música hispana for your middle of the week, right? Because you know what? Stopping for un segundo and just shaking off that stress and just letting your thoughts go somewhere nice, somewhere good, right? Because, we have to, guys. Work doesn't mean that you have to kind of like go in there and hit the grind and just completely forget that you're a human being. It's just you don't have to. So mira aquí the Next Step Show todos los días at noon. I am here for you, so don't stress it. All you got to do is tune in and mira. For those of you see that have something to share, something to say, something to sell, right? 585-346-3000. Say, hey Bob, mira, I wanna advertise. I wanna put what I have in the Next Step Show so that all those great people that are listening know about us. Pero not just that either. See, because dialogue, like I say all the time, is key. It's one of the most important things, right? That we have that we should be doing. So 346-3000, area code 585, toll free 866-552-1009. I was kind of doing some social media stuff, posting some shorts, and I'm like, man, I need a better hashtag. And I was like, duh, hashtag voice of liberty. So, mira, keep an eye out for that because I'll be putting that out. You know why? Because when you think about it, voice of liberty, what does that really mean, right? Does that mean just the radio station? No. Remember, I told you words have meanings. Things mean something. See? When we talk about the voice of liberty, when we have things like the Next Step Show and all the other great shows on these six phenomenal networks, right? We are able to go out there and truly give voice, right, to well, to reason. So take advantage of that. Pick up the phone and call. Not just my show, but all the shows. Get involved. Leave a social media post because check it out. We are on all the social medias. I love the dialogues that I'm having there. I mean, if you heard my show yesterday, we were talking a little bit about a comment where somebody said Democrats are Christians too. And I'm like, wow. The ignorance behind those kind of statements is just astonishing to me. However, right? However, having the opportunity to engage in that kind of dialogue is so critical. And you know what I've always said, Mira, if you believe what you believe, then just defend it. That's what I tell politicians coming on my show. I don't care what party affiliation you are, we'll always be respectful. For the slate of candidates running in this election cycle, Mira, the Next Step Show is here for you. Understand that if I bring one, I'm going to bring the other. The options are open, pero I'm not going to sit here and talk about Kukma. Yeah, I want to know from you the truth, right? Because we've got a lot of bamboozliness going on. Like, well, let's talk taxes. Yesterday was tax day. I asked a couple questions. Yesterday I said, hey, it's tax day. You should file your taxes. Make sure, right? You don't want to give the government more money than you already have to. Why pay fees on a loan that you're already giving them for free? So I asked a couple questions because I want to know where you guys understand things like taxes, right? Because well, someone said to me, Peter, taxes is a civic duty. Wow, that's an interesting question. Remember, I was a tax collector with the IRS. I was a revenue officer. Excuse me. I knocked on your door when you owed $100. I argued with my boss, why are we going after people who who owe a few $100s? It just the cost analysis on that made no sense to me. But hey, listen, I'm not the government, so I'm not as smart as they are. But what does it mean? Is it a civic duty? I mean, one of the questions I asked you yesterday, and listen, I'm going to give you the answer to this one because there were three questions that I posed, right? And I'm saying, listen, if you have the answer, call me. For your time, I will give you, right? You're the first caller. I will give you a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card. It'll come straight to your house, right from Dunkin' Donuts. And why do I want to do that? Because I want to encourage you to call and talk about these things. I want to know what you know. Because when you hear questions like, well, the federal income tax was originally a temporary measure. You know, I've asked all my kids that question, and they didn't really know. It's like, well, it's like we heard on yesterday's clips with the SNAP benefits, right? You know, that temporary assistance for nutritional needs for people that are in need. Again, kind of like that, right? Temporary. So the answer to that is yes, it is true. The federal income tax was originally introduced as a temporary measure during times of war, right? As a matter of fact, the first federal income tax in the United States was enacted in 1861 to help fund the Civil War, but was later repealed. Interesting, huh? Remember, I shared yesterday that this country prior to that pretty much survived on tariffs and excise tax, which yeah, we were doing pretty all right. You and me were doing pretty all right. There were more people working. Do we have our issues? Of course we do. That's how you grow. You don't grow out of comfort. You don't learn out of comfort, right? We had our issues as a nation, but we learned. But this whole modern federal income tax system that was established under the 16th Amendment, right, which gave Congress the power to levy an income tax permanently. But it was supposed to be temporary. Now, one of the other questions that I asked you was, which president oversaw the ratification of the 16th Amendment? Okay? Let me give you a little hint on that because I'm not going to give you the answer to that one. And I'm not going to give you the answer to that one because this is something you should know, especially for a good portion of our listeners, and I'll tell you why. See? Because if you're listening to this show and many shows on stations like this, you probably are attuned somewhat to what's going on around you, somewhat to political history and how politics has shaped this nation. Many of you should know what it means to be a Republican or a Democrat. That's why I'm asking you this question. Because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, right? Right, it's important to understand this because, well, that's relevant in the answer to the question, which president oversaw the ratification of the 16th Amendment? And then the other question that I asked yesterday, again, ladies and gentlemen, for a coffee card, because it's about what $5 will get you with Dunkin' Donuts, right? What percentage of Americans think their taxes are too high? Okay, what percentage of Americans think their taxes are too high? Today is the last day. I'll give you these answers before the show ends if you don't call beforehand, right? 585-346-3000. You could also leave me a message on social media. I'll read it on air. And for those of you not in the 585 area code, I know you know too. 866-552-1009. Talking about tariffs and income taxes and all those other great things, right? I mean, Trump has said it. We want to bring this country to a point where we are generating income, we're making money, but not on the backs of Americans. Instead, we're going to make money as a nation. Right? This is Trump. This is me summarizing what Donald is saying. See? And yeah, I called him Donald. That's okay. You know why I called him Donald? Not out of disrespect for the office, because I got mad respect for that office, and I got mad respect for him because he's making things happen. No carte blanche, just respect. I believe him. I believe he is honest. But I also believe that if I saw Donald out on the street right now, and I'm like, Mira, Baba, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está la familia? He's going to be like, hey, Peter. I mean, he ain't going to say Peter. He's going to be like, what the hell is that? But he ain't going to get mad because, see, well, he's a leader. Now, honestly, if I saw him personally, it'll be like, meet a president. Well deserved. But seriously, though, he's been making moves in just a short time that he's been in office the second time. And I'm like, wow, I feel it in my pocket. I truly don't understand why there's so many angry people out there. But you see, bamboozling this crisis. Let's look over to California for a little bit. Okay? Let's look and see what good old Newsom is doing over there in the sunny state, right? In the state where you can go and chill on the beach and for a while now, right, spark up a nice old blunt and just hang out again. Nobody could say nothing to you. That's the state. This is the state where you can literally drive through Sacramento and see families. Homeless shelter, they're not homeless shelters, just people turn them into their homeless area. Families. And I told you before, I saw one, right? Getting onto the expressway. I so wanted to take a picture, but I couldn't bring myself to. I'm like, that would be putting a nail on that, right? No. But under a bridge, they had a living room with a nice couch set. They had 2 bedrooms, maybe 3. They obviously had a baby because there were cribs there. And then everything else that you would expect laid out as if that were a living unit. That is the state of California. There was a big fire recently. Well, we were losing lives until, well, Trump got in there and said, mira, deja la bobería. Stop that nonsense. Get the water. I mean, why? This is the state that ends up number 1, right? And New York is right behind it. Just listen, New York's right behind it. So is Maine. So is Colorado. But New York's right there. Ahí con California. So I'm talking about California, but we might as well be talking about New York. Highest taxed. Worst place to do business. Highest crime. Some of the highest illegal immigrants. Pero today, right now, Newsom believes that the Trump administration is doing the state of California wrong and has decided, right, that he is going to be the first state. But what is it with him and Hocus Pocus, man? These guys, they love to be the first to the worst thing ever for you. All of them, they do. We're going to stand strong in New York State again, and we are going to tell those corrections officers to get their tushies back to work because it's my way or no way. That's New York. Newsom suing the Trump administration to block tariffs because it's hurting California. Guys, listen. I'm not smart. I dropped out of high school. I grew up in the ghetto. I'm a Hispanic. So listen, but by all the standards of the left, I'm not smart. I'm a victim. So I don't really know what any of this means. I mean, right? Newsom must be right. Well, I mean, come on, there's so many people, Hispano, Puertorriqueños, Cubanos, Mexicanos, and probably a little extra from places that shouldn't be here either, see? That go to California and New York State. And they're like, we love this place. We love Hocus Pocus so much. Oh my gosh. I think you could even see most of those people dripping on themselves. They love these guys so much. Pero why are we hurting? And why is it that when something that makes sense comes through, like, well, these tariffs that are going to do us well, bring jobs back, now they want to stop it? Mira, ladies and gentlemen, soy yo tu conservative Neo-Rican, sí, aquí en La Voz de Liberty. Mira, hashtag Voice to Liberty. No cambies ese dial, sí, no te vayas. We'll be right back. Give us a call.
Nice job taking it to the post.
Uh,
I'm gonna grab myself my lunch, so just don't call for the cuts for the first minute or so when we come back, because I gotta heat up my lunch and grab it from the microwave.
no worries. You know, I love, love, love scripture. I do. It's like a manuscript. See, it is. I mean, here in the Next Step show, I share these scriptures with you, not because any other reason than guess what? It just uplifts people. And if it makes you mad, I'm sorry. You know what? I'll do it again. Check this one out. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. See, Ephesians 5, verse 11. Now again, if that makes you mad, you need to check yourself. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. You know, can you imagine this? Imagine this, picture this. See, especially if you're an educator and you see little Johnny or Janie coming in and saying, Miss Teacher, I witnessed something yesterday, like a shooting, because that happens every day. We have bullets going through bedrooms. And it's just, I just don't know, teach. And the teacher just says, listen, let's say a little prayer, because check this out, right? I want you to understand this Ephesians 5, verse 11. See where it says, have nothing to do with fruitless deeds, right? You know, but rather expose them, stay firm in what you believe, and fight against that evil that is putting those bullets through your windows, and fight against the politics that are lying. Because remember what I've always said too. See, politics is 100% the devil's playground. That's why all that smooth talking and slitherous tongues always come out. Why people that I've known for decades, since I was un pequeñito niño, see, un niño pequeñito, a little guy, little tyke, just don't want to talk to me because I got an opinion. It's just baffling. Mira, right? California suing Trump. This is what Newsom says. President Trump's unlawful tariffs are wreaking chaos on California families, businesses, and our economy, driving up prices and threatening jobs. Que caramba on that. Really? Gary, thank you for calling the Next Step Show, hermano. Which one? Ah, okay. So I'll tell you what, you want it. I'm going to send it to you. So I do need your address. I'm going to follow up. And I might stalk you a little bit, Gary. Don't get mad. But, okay. Well, it is for them. Absolutely. Absolutely they did, Gary. And that's the part that just, dumbfounds me that they're still sitting there with the amount of support that they have, which means that, well, I'll tell you what does that mean to you, Gary? But why does those people have so many support? Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's Gary. Gary, I'm sorry for interrupting. Just I got a few clips to go, but listen, let's get her on the show here in next steps, okay? Can you help me do that? Let me know when that happens. I'd love to help sponsor that as best as I can. Yeah. I appreciate it, Gary. Gary, I gotta let you go. But ladies and gentlemen, hang on though, because I do have commitments from the Board of Election here in Monroe County. Those commissioners are going to be coming on soon. Keith, thanks for calling the Next Step Show. Yeah, they are. Keith, I appreciate your call, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, he pointed out something that has been directed to all of us. But when you look at Black and Brown America, it's almost sad because they're disseminating our families with this stuff. Mira, we'll be right back right here on the Voice of Liberty, hashtag Voice of Liberty. No te vayas. Don't change that dial and give us a call. Hey, Bob, sorry about that. I talked a little more than I intended to on that topic. Hey, buddy.
So now that we got those couple calls out of the way, I'll be ready for those cuts when you want to do them.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to
So
be shifting into that now. Sorry, I started
no
talking
problem.
more on that than I
No
anticipated.
problem. And do you have Gary's email address? If not, I can send an email to Gary and copy you in.
Why don't you do that just in case? I
But
think
I'll
I
do
do,
that then.
but
Yeah.
I think he's emailed me a couple of things.
Okay, no
I'll
problem.
get him his. Thank you. Hey, let that go a second, sir. Okay, check it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is tricky, but that's okay though. See, because why? Well, check it out. Welcome back to the Next Step Show. We will unravel. And like I told you before, I will give you the tools that you need to fight, right? And I'm going to use fight in air quotes because, see, I mean, I don't want you to go out and fight anybody. I want you to go out and educate everybody. See, my youngest son and I, Silas and I were talking about, we were talking about God and Jesus. And yeah, my kids love God. Go figure. I love that about them. But, Silas said to me one day, he says, Dad, I believe that Jesus is coming back. We believe that. And he said, but before Jesus come back, the promise that he made us was that every single person on this earth will have the opportunity to know Jesus Christ. And I'm like, wow, is that not the most profound statement that my baby boy ever said? And then it's so true. So mira, it's okay. Pero whether you choose God, whether you find right that reconciliation between your politics, right? Because Democrats can be absolutely Christians too. And what the Bible says, hey. And real quick, Gary, thank you for the answer to question which president oversaw the ratification of the 16th Amendment. Just to clarify quickly, right? It was William Howard Taft who introduced it, right? He introduced the 16th Amendment in 1909, pushed it through, and then walked it through. But check this out, though. Taft, he was a conservative. It era Republican. Jeepers, apparently I can't talk Spanish today, right? He proposed the income tax amendment. This is why I said it's important for you to know these things, right? This is your civic education for today. Now, Wilson, right? Woodrow Wilson, he was a Democrat, a progressive Democrat, right? He jumped at the chance right after Taft, right? To enact the income tax and use it to grow government power. And check it out, mira, just like that. Check it out. A Republican gave Washington the keys, and a Democrat rose up and floored the gas pedal to make sure, right, that they can fund those wackadoodle agendas. They did. That's what that does. Fund wackadoodle agendas. Most of them. I know, roads, bridges, but have you driven any of our roads lately? Where's that money at? Really, where's that money at? But, it's not even that, because we've got wackadoodles here, right, in New York State. We've got them all over the place. We've got people that are sitting there saying, Mira, we're going to sue. We're going to sue this government over what? Over bringing jobs back. Oh, well, they're sitting there saying things like, Title IX. Title IX means that we need to be able to what? Provide space in our schools so that freely, so that fearlessly, so that what? Understanding that I am competing against people that are equal to me, both in physical stance, in their physical stance, as well as their mindset. Because one of the things that we have learned over the entire existence of this planet, right, that men are not only built differently than women. No, ladies, this doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do. But they're not built the same. We're not built the same. But we're also not built the same emotionally or in our mindset. So, great and wonderful things, right? The people here in Washington, like Trump, right, and his AG Bondi are saying, no, listen, Maine, we gave you an opportunity to fix a problem that people voted me to do. You don't believe me? Look at the increase in votes for the Donald. And then he said, Bondi, General Bondi, you need to resolve this. So General Bondi goes out and says, let's give her all the chance that we can. Because maybe she's just still confused, or maybe she thinks that, we're joking, or maybe she's misunderstanding, right? Title IX. Because Maine and people like her are saying, Mira, Title IX protects trans. Women, trans, and all that, right? Women and men and women's in women's sports. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That Title IX says this: no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefit of, or be subject to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal funding. On the basis of sex. Now let me think about this for a second, because I know I'm only 52 years old, pero caramba, isn't the reason why Title IX exists is to protect women against men? Play cut one, please. Horrific. Mira, I would be that father that got arrested, right? For stepping in and advocating profusely, very, very emotionally. I will lose my emotional intelligence to defend my daughter in an issue like that. But let's take a look at it in context, right? Because remember, I've said this has been going on for a minute, but it truly was under the Obama administration that we started seeing, this lunacy. Why? Well, because since this whole Title IX was enacted, I believe it was sometime around 72, nothing's been changed there until Obama came along and said, Mira, men that wake up in the morning and feel like a woman. Boy, I feel like a woman. Right? When you proclaim that in the moment as a man, apparently, according to him, so he adjusted it, and the Biden administration, the buffoon, confirms it. Right? Pero no, I don't think so. Cut two, por favor. Pero carajo, whatever happened to machismoism? Oh, I remember. The progressive left, right, demonized that. Whatever happened to getting up in the morning and saying, Mira, yo soy hombre. I will care for my family. No te apures, honey. I will feed you. To my children, no worries. Mira, if my father was sitting there saying, I'm going to run in women's sports because, and dot, 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 I'd be like, Dad, I'm ashamed of you. So absolutely shame on those individuals. Absolutely shame on the state of Maine. And they don't get it. See, it doesn't matter that Trump won the election with a charge to fix this. It doesn't matter that shows like the Next Step show, right, has brought people on and said, Mira, my children are suffering. And stop, ladies and gentlemen, because this isn't, right, the girl who wants to play freshman football to prove she's as good as a boy. This isn't that. This isn't the girl who's saying, right, I believe in feminism values. This isn't that. These are men that ladies have, this country has fought for the rights of ladies to keep these wackadoodles out of their sports and out of their way. And they found a way back in. And we're letting them, or the left is letting them. Hey, check out cut three, if we may, please. Nope. They're reading, I think I would call it the wackadoodle version of Title IX. Let me read that again. No, the United States shall, on the basis of sex, or no person in the United States, shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation. Mira, a mí no me importa, caramba. Check this out. When I wake up in the morning and showering, I look down and I know what I am. And mira, if you've got one of those like I do, stay out of the woman's locker room for your safety and for theirs. We'll be right back right here in the Next Step Show. Lines are open. No te vayas. No cambies ese dial. How much time will I have when I come back? Okay. All right. I'm not going to take any more calls unless it's some, unless you think we should. I won't. But if I get one, go ahead and let him through. I mean, I guess. But I won't solicit any. I actually like this song a lot, right? But see, back in the 80s, we used to talk about things. Mira, the most dangerous lies are the ones wrapped in good intentions and sealed with government stamps, because once comfort, you heard it yesterday, replaces conviction, the Constitution becomes a casualty. It does. And that's what's happened. The left has spent 4 years convincing you that being comfortable is something that is a birthright. Mira, pal carajo con eso is what I'll tell you. See? And the thing is this whole nonsense against women, in my humble opinion, has to stop. And then kudos to the U.S. Department of Education, Linda McMahon, for initiating, right? For initiating these investigations. Man, we play cut 4. Refused to give young ladies space of their own. Mira, a mí no me importa how comfortable you are with this whole thing with guys being girls, girls being guys. See? Ladies are sitting there, and when they get naked, right, to change their clothes, they don't want to see a dude swinging, you know what? They don't. And what's sad is this. See, this is the bamboozliness crisis. This governor of Maine is choosing politics over you, the taxpayer. And I surely hope there's people in Maine that are listening to us, because they got to know. And I'll tell you what, I have advocated my entire political career to abolishing the Department of Education at the state levels. And this is why, because, well, cut 5, por favor. Huh. And before, right, before some of you more left-leaning listeners, and I love you too. I'm glad you listen, right? Shashish, I do invite you back, right? You are a mayoral candidate, Mayor Malik, right? I invite because these are important topics that people want to know about. These kind of things. See, I get it. We're gonna build this, and we're gonna do that initiative, and we're gonna have this committee meeting. Pero who cares, right? Who really? Who cares? If the system is so broken, who cares how many houses we built? Because guess what? People are still going to live in the same mierda that they live now. I mean, look, cost, politics over you and me. And then check it out. For those of you that say, "Oh, Peter, you're just, you're just." Oh man, I'll tell you. Just what? Right? Right? Because I'll tell you what, you're full of crap. David, thank you for calling the Next Step Show, hermano. Solution. I like it. Thank you. Now tell me something. Now, if I understand it correctly, you're from the southern tier, right? Haskinsville. Okay, so let me paint a picture here. See, because people that are pushing this nonsense, right, would say, David from Haskinsville, you're just a white guy that doesn't understand the plight, right, of black and white America. And you don't understand the plight, right, of those people that simply just want to be accepted. Is there any validity to that? Because I don't think so. I know Haskinsville, believe it or not. But hang on. David, can I stop you there for a second? Can I? Does it matter where you live? Are you're a human being? Exactly. And it doesn't matter. That's the whole point. The only reason why it matters is because why? Politicians decided to make an issue of it. David from Haskinsville, New York, and that is a beautiful town. Anything happening down there, real quick? Hey, listen, snow is great if you're Snow White, not the one from Disney, though. David Haskins, thank you for calling the Next Step Show, sir. I've only got a couple minutes left, so check this out. I'm gonna skip to cut 8 here for a second, and I'm gonna circle back, right? Because I do want to talk about Stephanie Turner, the fences who took a knee, but I don't have enough time. You know why? Because this issue is impacting so many people, so many freedoms. The bamboozleness crisis behind it has so many people confused. Pero I'll tell you what, here, cut 8 explains it all. Thank you. I love Archie. Oh man, you know something, ladies and gentlemen, listen. You know, I love spending my lunch with you. And I'll say it again, Mira, 585-346-3000, right? I would love to be a representative for your products, for you. I'd love to be your voice, right? Give us a call. Tell them you want to support this phenomenal show. Hey, Mira, don't end your day without being a leader. Be a leader. Be a leader. And mira, don't let un segundo go by where you are not a voice for libertad. Hashtag voice for liberty. And God bless these United States of America. I'll talk with you mañana.